This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Two, ready to go, ready to rock. How you feeling, Matt? You feeling good?
I am really tired. I'm okay. Yeah, a lot of travel the last couple of days, and then trying to get everything done for a long work week in the span of about 24 hours with the holiday coming up. So, good, but happy to be sitting in my house and not my car.
Did you watch any Hard Knocks last night?
No, I didn't have any time to.
Okay.
No. That is
All right.
on the. It's on. It will be watched this week, but it has not been watched yet.
Okay, no, I'm not surprised. I think most of America probably did not watch it. The only people that watched it last night were the people that are Dolphin fans. That's probably the only people that used it as a priority last night. Like for me, it was must-see TV at 9:00, obviously. And I didn't have any Heat or Panthers playing, so it kind of helped out, last night that both teams were off. So that really took a little bit of a burden off of it. So I'm not surprised. Are you surprised that the Kansas City Chiefs can't score in the second half with a fistful of dollars in a whorehouse?
Yeah, I mean, look.
That makes now. What happened the other night was disgusting because you can't ask Pat Mahomes to make more perfect passes than what he made.
Right.
And, whether it was the fourth down or the touchdown or whatever it was, the guy made the throw that would have made the throws that would have won that game the other day. So is it that they can't score, or are we just watching the worst wide receiving core that he's had so far in his tenure? And so now maybe the Dolphins were on to something here where now teams are limiting Kelsey because they know that everybody else is just not going to burn you. I don't know. You tell me, how do we decipher this shit?
I don't know if the Dolphins are the one who broke that. I mean, the Broncos did it the week before that. I mean,
that's right.
So, I mean, you've had, and other teams have done it. This is definitely the worst receiving core he's ever had. I mean, that was true a month ago. It's certainly true now. Their second half stuff, they're averaging 5.3 points per game, second half of games. I mean, they can't score.
Makes no sense.
They can't. Now, early in the year, it was a little funky because in 2 games, they slid down to end the game at the 1-yard line. So they would have scored twice. And then they played the Bears, and they were literally up like 41-0 at halftime. So they basically played Frank Gabbert the second half. Yeah, I mean, so early in the year, there was a little bit of wonkiness to it where you're like, yeah, they're not scoring, but there's kind of a reason behind it. The last 3 weeks to a month, can't score. They just can't do anything. I mean, in that Eagles game, Kelsey fumbles at the 5-yard line. MVS drops the easiest walk-in touchdown of his life.
Jesus.
I mean, there's 14 points, and they gave him away with a turnover and a drop. They are a horror show offensively when it comes to turnovers. They have the third most in the league. Penalties, which they're actually in the middle of the pack in penalties, but they take them at brutal times. And their biggest problem, other than the turnovers, which I think is number one, the drops. They lead the league in drops. I think it was Pro Football Focus, give them credit. 21% of Mahomes' incompletions this year are drops. It's impossible. I mean, and a lot of them are guys wide open, just drop the ball right there. And it's been all year long. The only saving grace for the Chiefs is the defense is incredible, and they've got a schedule that going forward, 6 of their last 7 games are games that they could play like crap and probably still win. But that's where they're sitting.
Did they outsmart themselves thinking that, well, we got Mahomes and he'll elevate everybody, but you can elevate people, but only so much.
Right.
At one point or another, Marino still had Duper and Clayton, and Montana, still had Rice and Taylor, and we could keep going. And, Aikman had Irving and had a hell of a tight end too, by the way. And the greatest show on turf. And all the great quarterbacks had great players to throw to, dude. It's not, but the Brady thing, I guess they got by with the Oompa Loompas for so long and all that, but it seems like they went kind of cheap on the tackles. And then they kind of like And I like the kid that they got from the Giants, but he's been so inconsistent, whether it's injuries or whatever. He doesn't cross that threshold that he has the gifts. And then all the other guys, and we'll bring back Miko, and
Right.
it's almost like they're almost like trying to, cut corners in certain areas where just because you have the best player in the league, maybe you're relying too much on the best player in the league because, dude, that 4th and 25,
I know.
that was a perfect throw, bro.
I was in the press box. And
Like, how do you drop that ball on 4th and 25?
Listen, I'm up in the press box for the game, and I was right up against the glass, and I'm sitting next to Jarrett Bell of USA Today and Jeffrey Chidi of NFL.com. We're both A-plus dudes, right? So we're sitting there watching the game.
I know both of them.
And the 4th and 25 throw, they're in the press box. There was just a collective like, it was just like, how could you, like, that throw was so ridiculous, and it hit him right in his hand. Like, how do you drop that ball? It's right in your hands. And look,
it shows you what a bad mother effer Mahomes is, bro.
The funny thing was, it's 4th and 25. Nobody in that stadium thought the game was over. Nobody. It was like, well, he might complete this. And if you've ever tried on or touched NFL gloves, they're like flypaper. So to drop these balls over and over and over is almost impossible, and yet the Chiefs continue to do it. Listen, I think it is true that they went cheap on the receivers. Look, all right, so let's hear. Here's essentially what happened. They traded Tyreek Hill to get a bunch of draft picks. They had to rebuild their defense. And to their credit, they did. They turned those picks into Karlaftis and McDuffie and Brian. Like, they did their job in that regard, okay? That is one of the rare trades. Both teams would do it again. As much as the Chiefs missed Tyreek Hill, both teams would do it again.
They got a title.
Yes, it worked out for them. And their defense is maybe the best defense in football. Now, the argument, though, the other way is, or not the argument the other way, but the reality the other way is this offseason, talking to people in that building, the thought was saying, look, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore are going to step up. They're going to be our guys, and we're going to supplement them with MVS and Justin Watson and Rashee Rice. Well, the good news for the Chiefs is Rashee Rice can play, but he's a rookie and he's inconsistent. The bad news is Sky Moore is a paperweight, and Kadarius Toney has done nothing all year long. And so they brutally missed on their valuations of both those guys. And so now you're in this position where Justin Watson basically has to be the number one receiver on this team when he's really like a number 3 receiver. And you're stuck just praying you can make, wine out of water, essentially. But the reality is, if they stopped turning the ball over, they probably wouldn't lose. I mean, they've lost these games because of turnovers, but they have a very small margin for error on offense because they just can't make plays. I mean, how many times on Monday night did Mahomes sit in a clean pocket for 4-5 seconds and there's nowhere? I mean, there's just nowhere to go with football because you can't get open. Then they get open, they drop the ball. So, I mean, the upside for the Chiefs, they got 7 games left. 5 of them are against Aiden O'Connell twice, who Miami just got a good look at, Jordan Love, Mac Jones, and Jake Browning. I mean, those are 5-year games. And then another game is against the Chargers. So if you're the Chiefs, you're probably going to still finish with 13 wins. But it's been a difficult year for the offense for sure.
Yeah. And still they can still turn it around, and guys can get a little bit on a roll and kind of fix that issue. But man, it is weird watching them struggle and then watching Mahomes make nasty throw after nasty throw, and they can, hang on to it. All right, this week, Friday, Dolphins obviously taking on the Jets, and it's the dynamic of just try to beat the defense, but don't keep them in the game by giving the offense like they did this past week, that you're playing a bad team in the Raiders and you're turning over the ball, interceptions, fumble, all that shit, and you're keeping them in the game. A couple of months back, you let the Giants get ahead of you 14-0 to start the game, and then you had was it the Giants or Carolina that went up 14-0?
Carolina.
It was Carolina. Carolina up 14-0, and then you had to come back. And to me, that's the trick of these bad, because Tim Boyle's not going to beat you, bro. So you now with Ramsey back, to me, I think this defense has now turned the corner, actually. And more than anything, we're watching a little too many turnovers by Tua lately. And to me, that's kind of, you talk about the Chiefs. Well, with the Dolphins, the turnovers have been something that has kind of been a bit of an Achilles heel right now. And against these kind of teams, this is what you have to eliminate to.
Yes. I agree 100%. Look, if I'm the Dolphins, if I'm Mike McDaniel this entire week, I'm just telling the offense, listen, guys, I don't care if we don't get a ton of explosive plays. Just don't give them the ball. Don't turn the ball over. Because if we win this, if we have one of these games, like if you're the Dolphins, you want this game to be boring. You want this game to just be, hey, look, we're going to hand off to the backs and we're going to run for our yardage because the Jets are not a great rushing defense or average. We're just going to run the ball and we're going to take our quick throws to Tyreek and our quick throws to Waddle and that's fine. And if you score 23 points and win the game 23-10, who cares? You win. It doesn't matter. Like it's, we were just talking about Kansas City. They play at Vegas this weekend, who of course the Dolphins just beat. It's the same thing. If you're the Chiefs, you go into that game, hand off to Pacheco, throw it underneath. Like, who cares? The Raiders aren't scoring 30 points in that game against that defense. Like,
please.
Aiden O'Connell scoring 10, 13 points. Like, just don't give him the ball. Don't give him free points. And I think if you're the Dolphins, that has to be the strategy in this game. It's run the ball, quick throws. There's no look. Remember how the Bills lost week 1 to the Jets, and how the Eagles lost to the Jets. And by the way, that's how the Chiefs almost lost to the Jets. It was just turnover palooza in their own end of the field. Like, that's the only way the Jets win this game. It's the only way. Is if you're just giving them free points, that's how you lose. If you're the Dolphins, if you tell me the Dolphins don't turn the ball over, the Dolphins are winning this game 100 times out of 100. Like, you just don't turn it over, play a boring, simple game, and get out of there at 8-3.
The defense for the Dolphins has now, I think, gone to another level now with Jalen Ramsey in there. It looks like Fangio now has a little bit more freedom, obviously, because you got 2 island corners now, and then Holland, playing safety, and, Chubb's been playing out of his mind. Phillips is picking up a bunch of sacks. I think the Dolphins turned the corner, but the odd part is that incredible offense has kind of gone a little bit more neutral now. And they got to kind of recapture that offensive magic, because if they don't, then they won't have they had the imbalance. Now they're back to imbalance again because the defense is doing their job. And strangely, the offense is not doing their job. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It happens though sometimes. Like, it's hard because if the defense starts playing well, as Miami's has, should say, the last couple of weeks, your offense isn't as pressured to make every play all the time where you've got to have it. I think when you play defense the way Miami's played it the last few weeks, you can play a little bit more of a game where it's like, look, we have to punt the ball. It's not the worst thing in the world. We can play some field position. We can do that. And we also have an offense that we know if we've got to punt the ball away, even if we give up a field goal or so, who cares? I mean, you just don't want to give up sevens. So I do think there's a little bit with Miami of like, look, I mean, it's not the dumbest way to play football. And this is a year in general where defenses have really played a lot better. I mean, this has been a year where even the best offenses in the league have struggled to score points. I mean, it's not been a year, we've had years in recent past here where a lot of teams are over or right at about 30 points a game. Nobody's doing that this year. I mean, it has just been a year of attrition. And Miami's been one of the teams, offensively is as good as anybody. It's also getting to that time of the year. It's harder. Teams now have a lot of film. Teams also are just, look, they're playing for more, right? I mean, if you're in the mix, you're fighting for your life or you're fighting for seeding. And so if you're on a bad team and you're a young guy, you're fighting for your job. Like there's more urgency this time of year. Games get tighter, margins get smaller. Look, I think the Dolphins are still, extremely explosive team. But I think with their defense playing the way they're playing, like you don't have to be that team that scores 35 every game. That's a good thing. That's a good problem to have.
Detroit, obviously, playing tomorrow, which normally they give you a pretty inspired effort on Thanksgiving, but they're actually legit now. They're 8-2, and Jared Goff is playing the best football he has ever played in his life. And I got to tell you, this shitty game he had this week was fantastic because to me, that's the sign of a really good quarterback. The guy that has a terrible day, but somehow or another finds a way to win at the end of the game. To me, that's the sign of a real franchise quarterback. So my question to you is, did you ever imagine Jared Goff to play this kind of football as a quarterback?
Not after we got out of McVay's system with the Rams.
Right?
No. I thought once he got traded out of the Rams, he was kind of going to be one of these guys who moved around 3 or 4 times, and that was it. And I will say it's a credit to him, and it's a credit to Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator.
He is frozen in time.
You froze for me, but are we good now?
There we go. Is he back?
Okay.
Is he back? Because it's rolling here for me.
You're rolling fine.
There we go.
You were
there we
frozen
go.
for a
Now,
second. All right. Goff.
There we go.
Goff deserves a lot of credit, but so does their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, who is going to be a head coach next year. He's done an excellent job. Their offense has been built in a way that it's accentuated Goff's strengths. Goff's a smart quarterback. He's an accurate quarterback. He's not the guy you want throwing the ball 50 yards down the field all the time. You want a guy who's smart. And Goff can do that. Goff can play that way. So credit to him. And they've got a lot of talent. I mean, they've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got Jameson Williams. They've got Laporta, who's been excellent as a rookie tight end. And so when you factor all these guys in, plus now you got Montgomery and Gibbs in the backfield. I mean, if you're the Lions, you're sitting there going, look, I mean, just play point guard, right? I mean, just get the ball out. Don't make the mistakes. And Goff, to his credit, I know he threw 3 picks last week. It's an anomaly. He typically doesn't do stuff like that. He's played well. He's done a nice job. Yeah. And so you give him a lot of credit for the way he's played.
Yeah, I am absolutely shocked with the way he has played. He looks like a stud playing in that system. And obviously his confidence has grown too, which we see it here with Tua, that once, somebody believes in you, and then you always have to believe in yourself, but you have to go have success so it can kind of grow. You know what I mean? Like anything in life. And that's what they've been able to do in Detroit, man. I have been just absolutely blown away with the way that man has played. You got Lions or Packers tomorrow? Kind of easy, right?
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions. The Packers are not good. They beat the Chargers, but I mean, so what?
Ron Rivera's final year with the Commanders or the Cowboys?
Yeah. Ron Rivera is he's living out his swan song right now. Dallas. I think Dallas wins that game. I think it's actually maybe like somewhat interesting with Sam Howell, but I think Dallas will win the game.
And Niners and Seahawks?
I like the Niners, but I wouldn't be shocked if Seattle wins. Seattle is a good team, and they're desperate in this game because they know if they lose this game, it's I don't know if you've looked at their schedule. Their next 4 games are the Niners twice, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. Like, they need to win this game.
Yeah, and Seattle has a tendency of giving really inspired efforts against San Francisco.
They do. They play well against them.
It's just one of those things that they have a tendency of putting up a decent game, and I would not be surprised if they put up a decent game. But hey, listen, we are past the point with Purdy, right? We just got to say, dude, the guy can throw the ball. I mean, say whatever you want. He makes consistently good decisions. His accuracy is always there. Yeah, he runs a loaded offense. I get all of that. I get he's got a great quarterbacks coach in Shanahan that understands the position, but the mother effer makes the throw. And in the end, we got to stop making excuses for the guy and just give him some love, dude.
He's leading the league in yards per attempt by a mile. I mean, at some point, yeah, I mean, he makes plays. Now, I will always I should say, not always, but I feel like part of his deal is that they're in advantageous situations a lot, and so they can do whatever they need to do. But,
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, it's a Globetrotters team around him. That being said, he's doing it. I mean, did Jimmy Garoppolo ever play this well?
No, I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, I'm with you. Like, Trey Lance didn't play this well. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't play as well. He's playing this well. So, do I think he's a top 10 guy in the league? I don't. Do I think he's above average? Yeah. And if you're the Niners, that's all you need with that roster. No question.
All I can say is he's a good quarterback, and he's accurate as a mofo, and he does not make mistakes. Dude, that has to be you have to give people credit for that. You just have to. And it's We just because he's a 7th rounder, we find every way possible to not give him credit. And it's almost like we're fighting, Tom Brady part 2. And I'm not saying he's Tom Brady, but I am saying, dude, let's just give him respect right now, at least, because he deserves it. He just deserves it, man. It's pretty amazing. All right, what do you got going on at Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out?
Man, I've written everything in its mother this week. So I wrote the column coming out of Arrowhead on Monday night. I've got quarterback rankings, matchups to watch this week. I've got a running column that usually goes up on Thursdays, but it's going up on Thanksgiving because we're going to be covering every single one of those games in real time. MVP stock watch, which has Tyreek Hill rising at this point. I mean, I got to tell you, I think I'd vote for him right now if I had to vote for this thing. Rookie stock watch, that's out there. And then also, importantly, today, for those who aren't aware, this is the 60th anniversary of John F. Kennedy's assassination. And I wrote a retrospective about the NFL's decision to play that weekend. It's in the magazine. It's a 5-page spread in the magazine. If you want to go buy it, check it out. It's also online as of yesterday. I talked to Jerry Kramer, Ed Obradovich, Joe Brown, who was in the NFL for many, many years. I really enjoyed writing it and telling the story. And I talked to a guy named Bud Tallman, who was the Navy SID at the time. And I will tell you, he was fascinating. And there's a section in the story about the Navy and him and everything else. So hopefully people take a few minutes and check it out. I'd appreciate it.
Roselle never really regretted doing it, right?
No.
And
publicly,
and to me,
privately, no.
Right. Behind the scenes, it wasn't something that he really ended up. And in the end, it was, it proved to be that was going to be a way of life for us as U.S. citizens. That kind of go through a lot of the tough moments, and at the same time get you through those tough moments. So it's it was an interesting time, no doubt about it. All right, follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame and catch his work there at Sports Illustrated. Matt, as always, I appreciate you. We will talk next week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Take care.
Happy Thanksgiving.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.